You're about to listen to TADPOG. Tyler and Dave play old games. It's a comedy video game podcast. We would like to stress that the hosts are not experts and are really just very crass commentators. Seriously, this is an explicit podcast that happens to talk about video games sometimes. So please enjoy this pretty okay podcast with Tyler and Dave.
Hello, Internet, and welcome to another very different TADPOG podcast. It's just a homespun, remotely recorded, artisanal podcast where three old guys talk about old games for the most part.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and explain what's going on.
It's like I don't know where to begin.
I know, it's weird.
Hi, everybody. I'm your Wizard Sage, Ian, and if it sounds funny to you, it's because we are recording remotely this week, and I think I'll leave that to our bespectacled host to explain what happened.
We've been spliced together in a lab.
That is correct.
Yeah. That's me. I'm your bespectacled host, Dave. We should be playing like a D&D game this week. I was really looking forward to getting back to that.
Yeah, me too.
Because I know, it's been ramping up, and after we did that last episode, which I thought was really good. I mean, I thought it was fun. I don't get to talk to you guys a lot. You know what I mean? Like, we essentially see each other once a week, and that is when we record. And as much as I love the D&D game, which I do love, I don't get to talk to you guys a lot. So like when we do that game, so it's like there's like this long stretch of like not talking to you guys.
Yeah.
And then like last week we got to talk for a bit, and that was nice.
So nice,
I guess
we'll do it
the
again.
irony of that is I was about to say, but now that a week has passed since that, almost, there's not a lot for me to say. So I guess what I've learned is that I don't really need to talk to anybody once a week because not a lot goes on.
Well, next to my wife and everyone I work with, seeing you guys once a week is the most I see anybody else.
Well, that goes the same for me. I work from home. I see my wife and my grandson and you guys every week, and that's just about it.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, I see Nikki and Henry and you guys, and then my mom probably about once a week on the weekends. And then, coworkers and stuff. But I have COVID, boys.
I
have COVID.
So we hear.
Yeah, I got COVID. I still have it, I suppose. I've been in my office at the house for a few days now. What happened was on Thursday morning, I was like getting ready for work, and I was like, man, it kind of sucks that I got back in town and like caught a cold. Because it's like I've been gone for a week in Vegas, and I just kind of want to get back into the daily routine, and I don't feel super great. And I was taking a shower Wednesday morning, getting ready to go into work, and I like Nikki came into the bathroom. She said, "Okay, we're leaving. Have a good day." And it's like, "Okay, have a good day." And I was like, I don't feel super great. I think I'm just gonna take one of those at-home COVID tests that we ordered, like just kind of like on a whim, and just to be safe. I've been traveling. I don't think I have COVID or anything, but like just to be safe. Yeah, I mean, it was seriously like it was like I remember like even like laughing in my head where it's like, oh no, going to run through all these at-home COVID tests, of which we now have 0.
Did you get your second batch of them ordered? Because you can get another one.
Yes.
No. Okay.
Yes, but they haven't arrived yet. Hopefully they come in a lot sooner than the first batch does. So So yeah, I took the at-home test, and they've got an app for it, and so I'm following the instructions on the app, and I'm doing all like the different things. And like, I'm really pressed for time because I kind of thought this was going to be, I don't know why I thought the at-home COVID test was going to be real simple. It's something I could do in like 2 minutes. It's not, it's a process. So like, I'm watching the clock, I get it all done, and I'm like watching the clock, waiting the 15 minutes or whatever, for the results to come in.
Yeah.
And I'm getting ready, and then the timer goes off, and I go and I look at the test strip, right? And it is like, you guys have taken the at-home test, right?
I've taken 2 now since we talked.
Right.
I've taken one every hour on the hour since Thursday. No.
Well, I'm sorry to put you through that.
No.
But like, how there's like this control line, right? And then that's like a very noticeable magenta line.
It's a hot,
and then there's like
hot pink Alvin Barkley line.
Yeah, it is.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And then on the other side, there's the T line, and it's like, I swear, like mine had like the faintest line. I mean, it was the faintest line there, like to the point where I took a photo of the test, I sent it to Nikki, and I sent it to my boss, and I was like, "Do I have COVID?" And they were both like, "You should get another test."
Yeah. When you sent it to us, and I took it in there and I showed it to Tanya, I was like, "Does Dave have COVID?" And she's like, I blew it up, I blew the picture up real big, right? And I was like,
right, yeah.
She looked at it and she's like, fuck, that's a line. There's a line there. Oh my God. For a second we were just like, oh shit. What do we do? But
yeah, there's definitely a line, but I mean, it was like the color of a ghost's whisper. Yeah. I mean, it was like,
I should have shown it to Melissa, because when we were getting pregnant, she got real good at looking for faint lines.
Oh, so that's true.
Well, there's definitely a line, but it's like what does that? But it was barely there, so I don't know if that's like a low viral load or what. I mean, it's been pretty mild, honestly. Like, I've had like, today was the first day I woke up without a headache. That was nice, but the headache hasn't been like horrible. It hasn't been like debilitating. It's just been always there.
Yeah.
And like, I've just been taking ibuprofen for that. And then I haven't had a fever at all, which is nice. I've had like some congestion, a cough, and sore throat. But I've also had 3 shots, like my booster was in December. So I think that, like, I mean, it sucks that I got it, but like, it's also really nice that it's been as mild as it has been. And I think I owe it to the vaccine for that.
Oh, definitely. Because I know people that didn't get it and regretted it big time.
I'm glad I just got my second booster the other day. So,
well, see, I haven't had a second booster yet. They say that 50 and above, or if you're in a high risk, profession like you, for Tyler, I know you're literally work at a hospital, so obviously you're going to need your second one. But they haven't said. The one I talked to a nurse about it, who she went through the whole losing her taste and smell thing, the whole 9 yards. But she said that at this point they're probably going to make it like the flu shot, where you just go get a shot every year for COVID.
That'll work.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Me too.
I mean,
I also get my flu
vaccine. Shot. So.
Flu shot, COVID shot, pneumonia vaccine. Just fucking give it all. Come on.
You're bulletproof.
All of it.
Because my doctor was like, "Would you only give those people 60 and up?" I don't care. Give me the pneumonia vaccine. Chicken pox. Come on. Shingles. Let's do it.
Have you had chicken pox before?
When I was in the 3rd grade, I had chicken pox.
You're good then.
I may as well get another one, right?
Not against shingles.
I don't want shingles.
You could get shingles. Yeah, there is that.
I don't think I've ever had chicken pox. I never had it. Like, my parents actually did the thing where they exposed me to people with chicken pox, and my doctor at the time said, at one point when I was like going to the doctor for the first time on my own as an adult, and they were like, okay, have you ever had chicken pox? I said, I don't think so. And they're like, yes, you have. And I said, no, I don't think I have had it. They said, oh, you probably had it. It was just a really mild case. And I'm like, if by mild case you mean 0 symptoms of chicken pox, then sure, I'll agree with you that I've never had it or that I've had it, but I'm pretty sure I haven't. And then one other doctor.
Are you a doctor?
It sounds like a Seinfeld bit.
Right? One other doctor suggested I was potentially immune, which I also find unlikely. But I never did get vaccinated for it because I was just like, well, and I know now as an adult, if you get it, it's shingles and it gets real bad. Like, hell, my grandmother, I talked to her the other day. She's in her 90s and she got shingles and she's in hell. So I should probably vaccinate against that at some point.
Yep. One of my employees, like several months ago, she was saying how her husband was like giving her a hard time saying she needed to get the shingle shot, and she blew him off, and then the next week she got it, and she was saying how unbelievably painful it is, and she's stupid, she'll get all her vaccines from now on.
Well, I'm glad that you guys didn't get COVID from me, because I was really worried because we recorded on Monday, and so like I got back from Vegas on Sunday, and then like took the next Monday morning off from work, because I was like, I need to rest. I'll just go into work for half a day on Monday, record with the boys Monday evening, and then take Tuesday off so I can recoup from that. Which was a good idea because I drank a whole bunch on Monday.
Me, you both sung out for like 5 hours after recording.
Yeah, because I brought that like 12-pack of Yingling. And then Melissa came in. I was like, help me drink all of this, please.
Oh, God. So you stuck around and finished those beers?
There's one left.
Well, I left one. There's one in the fridge. Yeah, nice. Which I was planning on drinking while we were recording this, but,
Oh, God, now I feel bad for bailing on you so early.
Oh, well, it would have been nice. But, so Tuesday, I didn't feel great, and I thought it was because I drank so much damn beer. And because like I woke up late, and it's like, oh, okay, geez, like when am I going to get over this jet lag? And then Wednesday I went into work, and a few of my coworkers were like, there was one coworker who was like, man, I just haven't recovered yet from this trip. And at the time, I'm thinking, yeah, that was a hard trip. And then now I'm like, did she have COVID? Because at one point she's like, I feel like I was
had it. Hashtag Chris gave Dave COVID.
I mean, I don't know. There's no telling, because like the whole time I was in Vegas, the whole time I was there, and I literally saw over 1,000 faces easy. There are 3 faces that I can recall having a mask on, like that entire trip. Like to the point where I remember when I saw a mask and I was like, oh yeah, COVID. Huh.
We went to the Paducah Arts and Music Festival last night. And I did not I forgot my mask. I was actually gonna wear it. But I forgot it. So we're walking around and there's, a lot of people, and I didn't see even one mask, not one the whole time. So.
That's not good. I mean, especially because, like when we were talking earlier and it was like, Tyler, you were saying at your hospital, how it went from like 0 cases to like what 10, and then now the whole floor, like in a matter of like 3 days.
Yeah, because January, February, start of March, because we're like a 250 bed facility, 60 to 70 to high as 80 COVID in-house. And then from there, it just plummeted. Like end of March, April, start of May, like it dropped to 0 cases, nothing. And then like last week, it went 0. And then like Thursday, it was 10. And then I got a text on Saturday saying, we shut down the floor.
Damn.
So yeah, she's back.
Yeah. Well, I plan on working from home tomorrow if I feel like I did today. And then Tuesday, if I have no symptoms, Tuesday I'm going back into the office. But I have to wear a mask around everybody until like next Sunday. So, and that's because I was vaccinated too. I mean, like, because like the health department, because I, used the app for the test, the health department, got in touch with me the next day, and they were like, and I was surprised at first. And then I kind of like realized, oh yeah, of course they're going to call me. But they were like, how are you feeling? And it's like, headache, all that. Everything's okay though. And they were like, okay, we're going to send you a packet. What's your email address? And then they sent me a packet, and it's got like all this information in it. And it's like comparing like what I have to do versus what I would have had to do if I didn't have any like vaccination.
Yeah.
It's pretty drastic difference. So
do you want to borrow my glory hole tarp?
No, because I read in that packet that you are not to swap bodily fluids, which yeah.
Well, you're not
so
swapping,
like,
you're just donating. It's fine.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's not a trade.
Right. It's totally a one-way thing. Does that count? I mean,
apparently it doesn't, because Nikki's fine. And I've donated a lot, so
before you found out.
Right, before I confined myself to honestly the best room in the house. But on Wednesday on Thursday rather, when I took the test, the antigen test came back with that thin line. It's NAAT. Is that NAT or is that NAAT? Like how do you say that? But
I don't know.
If it's
whatever.
Like the Final Fantasy 11 guy that knew all the jobs, it's at not.
Not. Yeah, I had to fight an old guy in order, and then he told me afterwards if I had COVID.
You fight him with COVID 8 times, you get his hat.
Yeah. I went to Walgreens and like, see that old guy with the funny hat? You got to fight him. If you can't beat him, you do have COVID. This is the peak of science, medical science here. So I took that test. Right. I took that test, and this was like literally 2 hours before we were supposed to record the next D&D session. And I remember messaging you guys and being like, okay, I'm taking this test. If I'm negative, I'm totally down to play. But if I'm positive, I'm not. And then, about an hour and a half later, I get an email from Walgreens, which I will say that like the subject line is, your test results are back! !
Yay!
And I'm like, oh, okay, that sounds positive. They probably have 2 subject lines set up. This is probably good. Click. Nope.
An exclamation point and then a frowny face.
Right.
Or the green vomit face emoji.
Your test results are back. You're fucked.
Yeah. And that when that said positive, it was like, okay, I definitely have COVID. So, it's like playing a really long game of dodgeball and then getting hit by a dodgeball at a Chris Rock show. We got I got an air mattress in here, which I'm now a proud owner of an air mattress that didn't have outdoor on the box.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, because I told Nikki, I was like, I can't. I'm like, I have COVID. I need the nicest air mattress.
Wife, I'm stricken with plague. The finest air mattress our money can buy.
That's right, but a full only. The queen air mattress wouldn't fit in here.
So are you sleeping okay?
Yeah, sleeping great. Sleeping great. Been sleeping a lot. Like each sleep is anywhere from 12 to 14 hours. Time has no meaning anymore. Like at one point I woke, like we were supposed to record this today, and I woke up and it was like, because I'm in my office, so like the windows drawn, the curtains drawn and all that. And it's like, I woke up and I was like, what time is it? Because I was afraid that I'd slept through our recording.
What
time.
year is it?
Yeah, right? Yeah, so yeah, I got to watch all of Kids in the Hall, which is, I got that going for me, which is nice. If you can schedule your COVID around a new season of a show that you like, I recommend it.
Either the release of Animal Crossing and Tiger King or Kids in the Hall, whichever works.
Yeah.
And Rogue Legacy 2.
And Rogue Legacy 2, which I've been playing a little bit of.
We've all been on a Rogue Legacy jam.
Yeah.
What do you? Well, one, Dave, I'm extremely relieved you have a mild case. So I didn't want to have to bring you chicken broth at the hospital.
Oh yeah, but that would have been kind of fun though.
That would have been neat.
Yeah, because I could have been like, oh hey, I know you.
I know people at this hospital. They bring me the food.
That's right. I can't have my own air mattress in here, but Tyler brings me broth.
Which is nice.
It is nice, yeah. I recommend if you have the means.
Well, Ian, what are your impressions of the OG Rogue Legacy?
Well, I like it because I didn't really know or really care about anything to do with like sort of the roguelike games, before Hades. And of course I played Hades until my fingers bled, but I was kind of high on Hades when I remember coming to you and being like, I want to do more. This is a while back, and you recommended Rogue Legacy. Well, I never got around to buying it. And then, thanks to the generosity of my friend Dave, despite having COVID, he bought it for me.
I almost gave you a $100 copy.
Right, yeah. You were going to loan me your hard copy of it, your cartridge, and you handed it to me, and it was still wrapped in the plastic from the store. I'm like, man, I don't know if I should open this. And so Dave starts scrolling, and he's like, it's worth $100.
I know. I spoiled that for you because I was like, oh, did limited run games do that? I was like, you should look up the price before you open that because.
So anyway, I got the digital version, I should say, and I'm enjoying it. It took me a minute to understand it. It's very simple, but I'm not like super familiar with those types of games, so it did take me a minute to kind of get in the groove. And I've leveled up enough to have like the Smith and the Enchantress. Although there's these levels, for those that don't know, where you get these fairy chests. And those are the runes that the Enchantress gives. You give to the Enchantress to give you special boosts and skills and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. They put these fairy chests in these impossibly hard rooms. I did figure out the benefit to using the Architect, so you can lock down a level so it doesn't randomly generate a new level when you go into the castle. Which is nice because, it gave me the chance to go through and find more of the treasure chests and stuff. So yeah, I've really enjoyed it. It's straightforward. It's very difficult and I'm awful at it, but I'm getting better as my character levels up, obviously, and I'm putting on good armor or raising my stats or whatever. I'm getting better at it. So yeah, I do like it. And it's nice that you can just sort of run and do a few runs, just like Hades, go in, do a few runs,
kill a few of your kids. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny. I love how witty the game is. They'll have the different characters that you get. You get to pick from 3, and each will be a different class and have a different name, obviously. But the traits are the funniest to me. Like, sometimes you'll have IBS. Sometimes you'll be dyslexic, and they'll have all the words that pop up on the screen are misspelled. They're like, swapped around. Just the way they built all these funny little things in, it was really cool, and I'm enjoying it greatly. I may, come payday or thereabouts, pull down that part 2 as well, just to see what it's all about. Because I was talking to Gage about it, and he said he got part 2. He was really a big fan of the first one as well, apparently, and he's been playing 2, and he said he likes it. So yeah, it's cool. It's a cool little game. There's a lot more to it than I would have expected.
I like how they handled stuff like I'm really glad that you said IBS, because like there are things that I'm playing Rogue Legacy 2 right now. I'm not sure I'm going to stick with it. A lot of it annoys me because I feel like but IBS is like a really good example, because I feel like correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't played Rogue Legacy in a long time. And if you're listening to this and you're like, I want to know more about Rogue Legacy, you should check out episode 47 of TADPOG,
God.
in which Tyler and I talk about Rogue Legacy. It was an October 2013 episode.
Wow.
Where we talk about Rogue Legacy, bird baths, lemon party, Banicula.
We've been a Banicula reference in a minute.
I know, right? I know. It used to be a TADPOG staple.
Lemon Party still comes in every now and again. So.
I still haven't listened to some of those like ancient episodes, but when I did not realize, I never bothered to look, but I didn't realize Rogue Legacy was so old. So I've been missing out for like a decade almost.
Yeah, Rogue Legacy is, let's see, that came out in what? You tell me, Wikipedia. 2013. So yeah, it's almost 10 years old.
Which is funny. I mean, which is weird to me, actually. Not funny, but just like that it's just now the second title's out. It's a long time between titles.
Yeah. And I think the one thing that I really like about Rogue Legacy 2 better than Rogue Legacy is I just think it looks a lot better. Like it looks a lot better. Like it, and I love that. I mean, I didn't have a problem with the way Rogue Legacy looked when I was playing it, but like comparing them now, like side by side, it's like, wow, they like really upped their art direction.
Well, can I ask
definitely
a
appreciate
question
that.
about that?
Yeah.
What? So I get this is kind of like a Rogue Legacy to me feels like one of the many, 16-bit-ish type games that were put out for, various systems. Is it still that same style, or did they like smooth it out and make it a little bit more modern as far as does it still look like pixel art type stuff? Or?
No, it's not pixel art really so much anymore. They like did a good job of kind of like keeping the style like they smoothed it out. They kept the style. They kept like the same like general like shapes and stuff like that, but it's more illustrative now.
Okay.
It looks a little more like it looks a little more like Darkest Dungeon than like 16-bit art. It's very like it plays with like dark and light, and everything's kind of like blocky except for like the characters. And when I say blocky, I don't mean like pixel blocks. Like I mean it's like blocks of paint essentially, or ink. I think it looks really good, and I think it sounds really good too. Like I mean, I think the music is good, but it's like you can definitely tell like it's fun because like like some of the songs, it's like, oh, okay, well, they're definitely playing on Diablo, which is a rogue like game. And then like there's another place where it's like, oh, they're definitely playing on like the library from Symphony of the Night. So it's like there are a lot of like musical nods to games from which they've taken inspiration, which I think is really cool.
I actually brought up a video of it on my computer, and I can see the huge difference in the art style. It's just a lot more detailed and stuff. So yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, I think it looks really good. But like when you said IBS, and I'm really glad that you did, I just get annoyed with Rogue Legacy 2 because man, it feels like it's constantly fucking me. It's constantly like every time I'm going to play, it's like, well, we're going to throw something else that's really super annoying. And like for instance, IBS. I feel like correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember it correctly from Rogue Legacy 1, if you had IBS, you just farted every now and then. Is that right?
I think that's right.
Mm-hmm.
In Rogue Legacy 2, if you have IBS, it removes your class ability and replaces it with a fart double jump. And it's like, it's stuff like that sucks because it's like when I don't expect it, it sucks.
Right.
When I do expect it, it's fine. But every lesson in that game is super fucking annoying because it's like, I do think the new classes are really cool. Like Chef is a class that I think is really neat. They have like a frying pan that they can use as a tennis racket to like reflect projectiles. I think it's awesome. That's such a cool idea.
Oh, that is a
fire
damage.
Damage over time fire whenever they hit something.
Yeah. Like very cool idea. I love that.
First class ever be able to heal themselves because they, make a stew that heals them.
Right, because they have their ability. Unless that is replaced by farting, which happens when you get IBS. And it's like, oh, I can't heal. All I can do is I have a fart button. I'm Booger Man. And the one of the things that I love about this class is now just taken from me. And I get it. It's like it happens once and you learn from that, but it happens every time. It does something like that to me every time. And it's like, man, I've beaten one estuary. This is probably a game I'm going to play every now and then, but I think I'm going to move on because I don't know. Like I've had nothing to do the last 4 days, and it's like I'll do one run of Rogue Legacy 2, and it's like, I don't really necessarily want to do another one of those right now. It wasn't like Hades. Hades was like, and I told Tyler this. Hades spoiled me, and Hades spoiled me because Hades, you could choose what you wanted to do each run. Like if you wanted to change it up, you could choose your weapon. And Rogue Legacy, that's randomly generated, which I understand is the point of the game. Right. Like, so I'm not saying that that's like by fault of the game. Maybe that's just, I don't know. Maybe that's just not a thing that I'm into anymore. I don't know, or into right now. But having the ability to just do what I wanted to in Hades, and then on top of that, I don't know, Hades was just had such charm to it outside of the game, outside of the gameplay, which was amazing, that I don't know, I feel like Rogue Legacy 2 doesn't have.
Because there are tiles, I thought about this earlier, Dave, whenever I saw it, because I know there's achievement for putting one, because of course you get your castle and you spend your gold to invest in different attributes of your castle that you carry over. So there's an achievement for putting one into everything. So that's what I was like. I want all my options unlocked. I want to see what all I can get, what all I can do before I drill down on attack, health, defense, whatever.
Right.
So there is you can eventually get where you can re-roll your heirs. And I just got this today to where you can lock down certain classes and attributes that will always spawn in your heirs.
Oh, that's cool.
So unfortunately, you have to, put a lot of time in just to be able to pick what you want instead of having
to make it fun.
Yeah. Instead of having like, all right, well, I'm going to pick this. All right, go to the castle, retire hero, all right, I don't like those. Go in, retire hero. Like, I got to where I would do that a lot because that's the thing. Like, going through, I unlocked all the classes. So the ones I like to play, I don't get all that often because you only get 3 choices. So I'll get 2 gunslingers and an astromancer, and it's like, oh, fuck. I don't like any of that.
Yeah,
I retired hero a lot.
It hits me in the knave button. Like, I'll get knave a lot. You know, the weak one where you have low stats, but you can deal like big criticals.
Uh-huh.
I get sometimes hit with like 3 of those, and I'm just like, screw it. I'll do my best.
Because I'll get I've never had the IBS trait, but I got the I hated getting vegan and not realizing it because I just go through smashing shit and I'll get a chicken leg or a piece of pizza and then take 150 points of damage.
Oh
yeah,
I hate
that. Sucks.
I had one today that I didn't know about that I had never gotten before. It was the one where chickens freak you out, and I like hit the candle, and I'm assuming that's why the chicken leg started attacking me.
Oh shit! I never seen that one either.
It like I hit a little candelabra or whatever, and a chicken leg fell out, and it immediately starts walking around and like attacks me. So I had to hit it again to be able to eat the chicken to regain the hit points that the chicken leg just took away.
I had a pacifist character the other day, which
I had that too.
Yeah, you just have a peace sign that does no damage. You can't do anything to inflict damage, but you get like 250% more gold. But I noticed that all the enemies are a lot fucking harder too, so you just have to dodge and evade and try to get treasure chests. I didn't make it very far.
I can't remember the name of the trait, but there was one where it's like all of the monsters are lewd and they're like pixel mosaicked out.
Yeah.
Have you seen that one?
I did. I got to bosses on that one.
Oh, really? I was surprised by how difficult it was. I did really I couldn't deal with it because it was just like, this is so visually distracting that I can't like get used to it. Like I can kind of get used to like when you get the old timey, like vintage one every now and then, like that I can get used to.
Oh, the sepia tone one, the nostalgia one or whatever.
Yeah. The nostalgia one. Yeah. And then there's also the colorblind one, which, makes the whole game grayscale.
Right.
All of that stuff I think is really neat, and I do really like that stuff. It's when they just like straight up switch abilities out, and it's like, hey, this thing isn't really even the class you want anymore. Like, or it's like you can like, there will be like, for the longest time, I was just trying stuff out, and just like, there's like this little like wagon in the dungeon where you can like buy like I guess like a totem of wisdom, strength, or ability. And it's like, I didn't realize it for the longest time, but whatever you buy there swaps out either your attack with something that you buy there, or your special ability, or your spell. So it's like, I didn't realize that's what was happening, because like Rogue Legacy is very simple compared to Rogue Legacy 2.
Yeah.
But it's like, because like I didn't realize that until I bought a wooden spoon from that vendor, and then my sword was gone, and all of a sudden I'm just throwing wooden spoons.
I've never seen that, man.
And it was pretty awesome. The wooden spoon kind of worked like the torch or the fire in Ghosts and Goblins. Like it had that kind of arc to it. But if it hit something, it would bounce off of whatever it hit and hit something else. So it was pretty nice, actually.
Because I recently saw where the Scar battles. So now they're mechanic in Rogue Legacy 2 to where Charon's siblings are there, and they want you to explore, the memories, the negative emotions that are left inside the city you're trying to save, and purify these voids. So you do those like the challenge runs to where you're a ranger and you have to hit all these targets in a certain matter of time, or do these hard boss battles. And I saw that you could unlock advanced versions of the job through that. I hadn't seen that before. So you can turn chefs into waiters, and I assume maybe a waiter has a wooden spoon.
Oh yeah,
bards turn into rock stars. Every class is a variant.
Yeah, I saw that too earlier today, and that honestly, like, that piqued my interest because, like, I think Rangers turn into like ballistas or something like that.
Oh, ballistic
and it's like,
archers.
okay,
Yeah.
ballistic archers, yeah. So I was like, all right, I'm kind of interested to see where that goes. It's just, I don't know. I think it's a game that I honestly think it's me. I don't think it's the game. I think it's me, and I think it's like that. I just don't want to. It's taken me. I've already spent so much time in this game, and I feel like I've gotten fucking nowhere. And it's like I've only beat one estuary, and it's like there's 8 of these.
I definitely think it's more grind heavy than Rogue Legacy 1. Most definitely, because it took me between the first estuary and the second were it was a long time. And the first time I fought Estuary Lamech, I had the one where he's blacked out, so I didn't even know what his cool boss sprite looked like.
yeah, he looks awesome.
Well, see, I've played I can't play the second one because I don't have a system capable of playing it yet. But unless someone wants to buy me an Xbox Series S or something, But
is it not on Switch?
No, not yet. They haven't clarified as to when or even if it's coming to Switch. But on the first one, I'm like so bad at it. I haven't even beaten one boss yet. Like, it's just I'm not very good at games like this. I still have fun with them, but I get into a boss fight, and I would do the architect to try and practice the boss so I could lock down the level and go right back to the boss, and I just haven't had any luck beating any bosses yet, but it hasn't taken too much away from me.
I think my problem is that there becomes a point in a run where I know it's not going to end well. Mm-hmm. And I guess maybe at that point I should just retire the hero instead. Cause it's like, I'll reach a point and it's like, well, this isn't going to work out. Or like one stupid thing happened and it like just set things off on a bad course. I should probably just retire the hero instead of continuing to play for 20 minutes. Right. To only die, but I mean, the reason I keep playing is like, well, I guess I could get some more gold and dump that into blah blah blah, but right. Yeah, it feels grindy. It does. It feels grindy, and there have been several times where I've been playing it where it's like I have COVID and I have like nothing to do, and I still feel like I'm wasting my time.
No, I do. I'm really enjoying it. I do. It's not hitting the same way the original did, but I am enjoying it, and I do understand your complaints, Dave. I think at all of our ages, we don't want to waste our time with what free time we have left.
And if you're enjoying it, then you're not wasting it. So I love that you love the game and that you're enjoying it. It's just, I don't know, man. When I play stuff now, constantly I'm evaluating it. I'm constantly evaluating it and being like, am I enjoying this? And I find if I'm asking myself that question, I'm not.
You're not, right? If you have to ask,
Because, otherwise it's like, if I forget to ask, guess what? I'm having fun. So
you're doing good, yeah.
Yeah, it's been tough because there are definitely parts of the game that I think are really cool. Like I think like all the new classes and stuff. Like I get excited every time I unlock a new class, and then I'm immediately disappointed upon playing that class. So
yeah, I know that feel. I feel like I pretty much just do Knight, Valkyrie, Duelist, and occasionally Chef. Everything else can
Duelist.
Go off.
Duelist is fun. Duelist is the one I remember unlocking. Duelist and being like, okay, all right, this is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Duelist just does so much damage.
Yeah, and they have like this, their ability is this like defensive role, which is amazing because you don't get hurt while you're using this defensive role. The cooldown is really short, it's kind of because like the assassin kind of has this like they can slip into the shadows, right? Which kind of works similar, but the cooldown on that is dependent on how many enemies you hit. So it's like you can't really play that defensively because in order to reactivate it, you have to be aggressive. And it's like, but with Duelist, it's just like, whatever, man. This motherfucker's going to come off cooldown in like 2 seconds. Don't worry about it.
It's just like you're playing Dark Souls. You're just doing the roll,
yeah.
roll.
Yeah, but a lot faster. And you can do cool combo stuff with the Duelist too, which I think is really neat. Where it's like, do you talk to like the training dummy?
Yeah.
Because like the training dummy, whenever I unlock a new class, if you go talk to the training dummy at the docks, it'll like give you all these like tips on how to play the class, and it's really helpful. And like there's some stuff for the Duelist I wouldn't have figured out on my own, where it's like you can get a really good combo by like hitting them with a jump attack and then hitting them again when you hit the ground, rolling behind them, turning around and stabbing them again. And like, that's a combo that does like a crap ton of damage. I don't know. I think that's cool. No, and then Boxer. I think Boxer's a lot of fun too. I like Boxer because like all of the classes in the game, like when they attack something midair, they continue on their downward arc. But Boxer, if you jump up to hit something and hit it, you just stay in the air for like a second. So it's like you can use that to your advantage to like just chill in the air for a minute and then do like an air dodge. I like Boxer a lot.
Punch, uppercut, and uppercut, and of course knocks them back. I haven't seen a whole lot of stuff in the class that can like move an enemy.
Yeah, I think that's cool. And there's also maybe what I should try is I haven't messed with the house rules yet, but I know there's like a house rules section in the options. I don't know what you can change there, but it's essentially like I think it changes the approachability of the game. So I might be able to just set it where it's like, no, I just want to play as Boxer. You know,
that'd be cool.
There's even an achievement for it. That's how I kind of knew it existed because I saw an achievement for it.
That's things I didn't know it was a thing, so I was learning something new. Okay, cool.
Let's see. I want to look it up right now because that's good podcasting.
I like how you can find hidden diaries from the estuaries that give you, if you can find it, it gives you a damage bonus to them. Which I already
yeah.
I'd already killed Lamech by the time I found his. But I made sure
Same.
I made sure to get it for because I didn't get it for the twin skeletons, but I did get it for the third estuary, and then I got it for the fourth estuary, which that one was that whole battle with everything that took me forever. Estuary Enoch, he's the guy who like leaves all the books that you pick up and show you how to do like the curios and the artifacts and the relics and all that shit. That was a very cool fight that had a twist to it that I did not see coming, and in a moment pissed me off because I fucking died. But
oh god, it looks like the house rules essentially are difficulty options. Like you can change enemy health on a percentage scale, enemy damage on a percentage scale, stuff like that. You can disable traits, which maybe I need to play. Okay. Maybe I need to disable traits because a lot of the traits I hate.
I like that all the areas are rated and you can kind of find them in, any different order because you find the last, that Pishon Dry Lake. Like the first time I found it was like 3 screens after I started the game. So I went down there and immediately died.
Yeah, I was about to say, man, because like there's like a sign outside that's like, don't enter without the sun lantern. And it's like, what's that?
I was like, I'll just try again if I die. Yeah, it sucks. I'm assuming after I beat this estuary in the sun tower, I'll get it because I've explored that whole place and haven't found anything, but he's sort of like Sauron. So once you go to the very tip top of the sun tower, you find these giant eyeballs. But that's
great.
The graphics definitely like okay, this is where you're showing off, because like they do some cool shit in the Sun Tower.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I think I'll probably just play it off and on, and then maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll get its hooks in me at some point. But I've probably put like, I don't know, I could check, but I know I put over 12 hours into it.
I forgot to
which is
turn
a
mine
lot
off
for
and
me.
left it running, and Grim was like, 40 hours, man, you're a beast. And I was like, oh, no.
You're a Rogue Legacy 2 beast.
Well, do you guys want to talk about the other topic we'd originally said we'd talk about on this show, on this episode?
Sure.
Yeah.
Do we want to take a little break first, or do we want to roll right into it?
How you guys feeling?
I'm good for now. We could take we've been going for about an hour. I could take a short break.
All right, let's take a break and meet back up. And then we'll talk about our top 5 video game characters.
Hell yeah.
And we're back in pod form.
So, Dave, you had a good idea to talk about our top 5 favorite characters in I guess all the video games.
In all the video games, yes. I'm glad you think it's a good idea. I started putting my list together and I was like, oh man, maybe this wasn't a good idea. Because this is really difficult.
It's a good idea. It's a difficult idea, but it's a good idea.
Well, don't feel bad. I totally misunderstood the assignment, and I don't have a list. So,
so what's your plan?
I'm gonna roll with it, baby. We're just gonna we're gonna wing it.
All right. May the force be with you. I think it'll work out. This is like one of those where it's like I was putting the list together and I was like, man, I wish I would have had this idea a week ago and have like a full week to like put together a preliminary list. And then like, because here's what's going to happen. Like, this episode is going to publish. And then on Discord, people are going to say like, oh, well, these are my favorite characters. And I'm going to read their lists. And I'm going to be like, oh yeah, completely forgot about that character. completely forgot that game existed. Good answer.
So I guess I'm approaching this from not necessarily characters like I love to play. Like I loved on my initial playthrough of Final Fantasy VI, I loved Mog. Loved everything about Mog.
Uh-huh.
But Mog is nowhere near this top 5 list just because his story, there's nothing to it. You know, he's just the weird Moogle. So it's just characters whose stories that I enjoyed the most.
I figured that's pretty much the realm that you were going to live in. And so I was like, I'm pretty sure I know where Tyler's answers are going to lie. And I figured they're all going to be like story based. Ian, you were the wild card because I have like no idea where Ian's are going to be. Mine are kind of like, because Mog was on my list initially too. And then I removed him for a different reason than you did. But some of mine are stylistic and some of mine are just, I don't know, like some of mine are just like, I have different reasons for every one of them. I don't have a standard. It's just, these are my favorites.
Okay, do you want to start with your number 5, or do we want to go 5, 4, 3, 2, and then before 1, go through some honorable mentions? Do it my Mojo style?
Is that how Mojo does it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, hey, man, they kind of like wrote the book, right? Maybe we should do what they do.
Okay. You say your number 5, I'll say my number 5.
Well, here's my problem. I have 4 set in stone, and then I have like 17 honorable mentions from which I need to choose a 5th.
Okay. Well, Ian can tell us if we're right or wrong on every one of them. So we can go through your honorable mentions too. Try to fill in that last one.
All right, I got it. I'm good to go.
Okay, I'll go first.
So please, you go first.
I'll go first with my number 5, which for the longest time, I had my number 5 set in stone, but then I bumped it down to my first honorable mention. But number 5, I've got Kane Highwind from Final Fantasy IV.
I was curious if Kane was going to make your list. I'm really glad that he did.
I've always loved Kane's design, Kane's story.
His fried chicken.
I feel like I'm the only... How he killed his brother in the Bible. His legacy video games where he's a vampire. But I think I'm the only one who liked the after years because I loved... Spoilers that, Kane follows Cecil and goes to Mount Ordeals and becomes a Holy Dragoon. I remember writing fan fiction about that as a kid. So that made me so fucking happy to see that in the after years. Kane, and of course, ever since Kane, I've always loved Dragoons, period, in anything. But granted, I thought they sucked pretty badly in Tactics. I thought they were a blast in Final Fantasy XI, but of course no one ever wanted one because they were only good. If you were fighting like a dragon, yeah, you fucking wanted as many Dragoons as you could get. Other than that, no one wanted a Dragoon. But everything about his sort of, I like gray characters anyway, and Kane sort of always straddles that line between being, he was good and joins your party. He was manipulated by Golbez, but I feel like he was able to be manipulated because of the jealousy he had with Cecil, because he was also in love with Rosa. So there's always been that dark element to him trying to do better. So yeah, Kane Highwind, number 5.
Good choice. I like it. And I'm glad that he's on the list. That's what I should have done is I should have put together the 5 that I think will be on Tyler's list, because Kane definitely would have been on there. So I'm proud of both of us right now. My 5 is actually a combo, but I think it makes sense.
Good. I have 2 combos. That makes you feel better.
Okay, good. I was about to say, if you feel like it's bending the rules too much, let me know and I'll choose between them. But my 5th one, my number 5 is Minsk and Boo from Baldur's Gate. And,
I've heard a lot about them, but I'm not familiar.
Oh, Minsk is like a chaotic good ranger in Baldur's Gate, and like Baldur's Gate was one of those games that I played in high school that like it was a time where it was like I was transitioning from 2nd edition D&D, which I played very little of in middle school, and it was before you and I started really playing 3rd edition in college. So it was kind of this like in between land, and like a lot of those like BioWare D&D games like filled that gap, right? They were like the bridge. And I remember playing Baldur's Gate in high school, and like the voice acting really gave like so much life to these characters. And it's like, I can't even imagine what the game would have been like without like the voice acting. And Minsk, like you'd select the character and they would always have like these little lines and stuff. And Minsk had a miniaturized giant space hamster named Boo. And he was clearly insane, which a lot of the characters in Baldur's Gate were. And I love it because it's like,
you can't have a good game without an insane space hamster. Am I right?
Right. Yeah, totally. Well, it goes back to like a trend I'm seeing right now in tabletop role-playing games is like, especially with like the old school Renaissance kind of style of games, like the introductory paragraphs to these books are always like, you are not heroes. You are the dregs of the like, people look down on you because you live the way that you live. You don't live like a normal person lives. You don't have a job. You are an adventurer. And I think that's like a really interesting tonal shift in tabletop, because like I remember being in middle school and even like in college, and it was like, we are heroes and people love us. And it's like, I feel like that went on for just so long that now it's just the pendulum is like, we've had enough of that. And it's like swinging back the other way. And it's like, no, you guys, everyone thinks you're crazy because you are. And like, I kind of feel like it does. Yeah. And maybe it's because like movies, because like our fiction, like that, like influences a lot of things. And I think like, our movies got darker and grittier. And then I think tabletop role-playing games kind of like followed suit, so we got more of that. So it makes sense. But anyway, Minsk and Boo, they're my number 5. Baldur's Gate, big fan. Although I will say, very, very difficult to go back to. And that's like coming from someone who loved the game. Like I bought the remastered edition on Steam or whatever. And boy, you guys heard me groan about Rogue Legacy 2 for probably like 20 minutes, but like there's so much, like those games were essentially just try to strategize, unpause the game, shit goes horribly, restart. And just do that over and over and over again until all the dice roll the way you need them to roll. So very difficult to go back to.
If I see that,
that's it for me.
If I see the Minsk and Boo pop vinyl for you, I'll pick it up.
Oh, that does exist, doesn't it?
It does. And it's on TikTok. That go for the eyes, Boo. It's still all over TikTok.
Nice. Yeah, man. Oh, yeah. That really brings back memories. So, yeah, number 5, Minsk and Boo.
So, we're waiting to do honorable mentions after we go through our 5, is that right?
We don't have to.
Well, I will wait. And I'll do my 5, and then we'll go back to Tyler. And again, for me, I have always been, aside from, playing games like Overwatch and Counter-Strike and stuff like that online with friends. Overwatch has a lot of great characters, but none of those are in my list. Really, because when I play a game, I'm kind of a filthy casual. I don't always invest a lot of time into a game. I get bored easily and move on to the next thing. But there's a few that have stuck out in my mind, but never. It's rarely a playable character for me that gets my attention. Like whatever I'm doing or I'm playing isn't what I want to. I'm thinking it's me, right? I'm playing as me, and I don't really see a lot of personality of the character I'm playing. So like I wouldn't say something like Mario or Kirby or something like that. But the secondary characters to me, especially in sort of a story-driven game, are where it's at for me as well. And so my number 5 is Price from Call of Duty, the Call of Duty series. I just really liked how he established himself as this constant familiar presence in the series, and they always did a lot of. He had like witty dialogue, and it was always well performed and well acted, and he always had a really stern sort of presence, but also supportive. You know what I'm saying? They just really leaned into his character a lot. He actually makes appearances in some of the later games as a twist, or you'll have a memory and he's there. And it was just, it's neat that he's sort of the first guy that you meet when you start playing the Call of Duty games, because he runs you through the training exercise to get you familiar with the controls and things like that. And without going all, into it, whatever, his backstory is really good. And, so for him, he makes the number 5 in my list of 5 characters.
It's the way you described him is like also the way I would describe Casey to somebody. So
okay.
That's how I will relate.
Yeah, I mean, he's like stern, but they do such a good job of like making that in the campaign part of the game, anyway, that he's got your back, that he's going to be there. And it's really nice as the AI evolves throughout the course of the series. They start to obviously get, in the earlier ones, the AI isn't great. as far as like helping you. But it gets better, and you're always, sure that Price is going to be there. He's that sort of rock that held that whole series together for me. So yeah, I really like him.
Cool. I've never played a Call of Duty game, but I know the girls like Call of Duty and Modern Warfare because they like to play those online.
That will be the driving factor for me to finally decide to buy an Xbox, is so I can start playing Call of Duty again, because I really, really, really like those games. And I love the multiplayer, even though I'm not great at it. It's one of those games that I start playing, and after a couple of days of playing regularly, I'm like doing really well and getting, multi-kills and stuff like that. And yeah, it's a good series for me. It's just always been, to me, it's one of those I can just pick up and play for an hour and be good, and then come back to it whenever I feel like it,
Yeah, I get that. I played a little bit of Modern Warfare, and playing online is always like, I don't know, I'll play for like 15 minutes and it's be like, man, I am never going to get any better than I am right now.
Yeah.
Like,
they'll do like sometimes the ones that are like these death matches that are in these tiny little maps are the best, because you're going to die, but you're going to kill a whole lot of enemies, a whole lot of rivals as well. So it's very satisfying. It doesn't feel like you're just getting owned left and right, and you start to pick up on the patterns and stuff, and then it becomes a little bit easier. But I totally get it. I'm the worst. I mean, I'm not the worst, but I don't claim to be any good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. Totally. Tyler, you got a number 4? Yeah. What's your number 4?
My number 4, so it is, again, it's like yours. It's sort of a combo, although I'd say I include them both because they're yin and yang. So they their stories are told together, and they're sort of ever-evolving opposites, so I put them together. And that would be, number 4 is Ramza Beluv and Delita Hyrule. Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yeah, very good.
So, I mean, I love the story in Tactics, especially Tactics War of the Lions, where it gets, a little deeper and has the animated cutscenes and the extra battles and the extra characters. So, Ramza is high nobility, the son of one of the greatest heroes alive, and Delita is him and it's not even his real sister, but they were two urchins that the Blue family adopted and sort of raised them as their own, even though the rest of nobility looked down on Delita and his sister. So, early on in Tactics, spoilers for this very old game, that, because of nobility scheming, Delita's sister dies, and that changes Delita and makes his path fork off from Ramza's, and Ramza and he go on, the opposite journey of each other. So Ramza is the nobility who is branded a heretic, becomes a nobody, saves the world, but is not in any history book. Delita is a nobody who schemes his way against nobility to becoming king, and he rules the land better than anyone else because he doesn't buy into the nobility bullshit, but it basically gets to write history as the way he wants it to go. So, because you play, of course, as Ramza, and you just see Delita, sort of in the background and how he's affecting things. But you see a lot more of that in War of the Lions, where you get to control Delita and do some other things to see his classes change. But God, I loved Delita and how it was just like, Ramza, I get what you're doing this thing. Because originally I just had Delita on this list, but you can't really include Delita without Ramza's story because there's nothing to highlight it. So definitely the combo of the two of them, fourth best character for me.
I love that. I love that in Tactics you play as the footnote. in history.
Yep.
You know, like I love that. I think that's so like counter to Final Fantasy. Even today, you know, I was going to say at the time, which it definitely was at the time, but even today, it's like, so, because Final Fantasy games, you're playing as like one of the people who beats God, you know, like,
Yep.
So it's odd to play like in Tactics, where it's just like you're just somebody who history just completely forgot about, and the game tells you that pretty much right up front too, which I think is cool.
Because I was even reading, I wanted to make sure I had everything right with the lead of story because it's been so long, and then it's canon that Olin, who is an NPC that you meet in the game, publishes Ram's story, and for it, all the copies are burned. He's labeled a heretic and is executed. So I guess, Delita's like, nope, we don't need any of that shit. And then eventually, like, a copy survives that Olin's like grandson discovers, and so there is like a remnant of what happens, but yeah, no one knows that Ramza saved Ivalice more than Delita ever did. What about you guys?
Dave?
Yeah, my number 4 is and this is where, like, earlier when you were talking about like how Mog was on your list and then it was removed, this is where I kind of doubled down on that. My 4th is Go-Go from Final Fantasy VI. And it is Go-Go has like no story. Like, I mean, Go-Go has more story, I guess, in Final Fantasy V than Final Fantasy VI. And even like that is like barely there. I mean, it's just like, but what I love about Go-Go is, first of all, that he's Adlai Stevenson. And
of course.
Like, that is an internet meme from like the early 2000s that you could fucking carve that on my tombstone, because it is one of my favorites. You could put that and then Yata underneath that and we'd be good to go. But like, Go-Go, they remained on my list because I remember like finding Go-Go in Final Fantasy VI for the first time and like how that made me feel. Like you're fighting, Ian. I don't know if you know about how you get Go-Go in Final Fantasy VI, but like you fly an airship to a strange island on the world map. You land, you fight a sandworm. It uses an attack where it like sucks you in, engulf. And normally when stuff like that happens, you don't want that to happen. Like you want to avoid that. But if he engulfs you and you let it happen, it takes you to a dungeon. And you complete this dungeon, and then at the end of the dungeon is Go-Go, a character who you can recruit into your party. And like that whole routine, all of that like was just so mind-blowing to me at the time.
Beautifully
like, I mean,
obtuse.
It was just yes. And I mean, like, so easily missed, the kind of shit that would really bother me as an adult.
Right.
Like, where it's like, oh, I had to, like, how would I know to do all this stuff? But the reason you know to do it is because someone told you, dummy. So
like somebody
like,
had to,
like,
because that triangle island sticks out, so somebody had to be like, man, I wonder what happens if he engulfs your whole party. Do you just die? I'll do that. What the fuck?
Right. No, I mean, it's wild. It really is. Like that there's I guess I could be the conspiracy theorist and be like, well, that's how they sell strategy guides in the 90s. Which I mean might be the truth, but I don't know. It's stuff like that like would always lend credence to being able to unlock General Leo. Like, it's like, because that was just so like off the beaten path that it felt so, I don't know, man. It just felt so exciting. And I'll never forget how that made me feel. And for that reason, Go-Go is one of my favorite characters.
And he's such a unique character, too, in that game. You don't get anyone else. The other secret character is nothing compared to Go-Go.
Yeah, except for in the randomizer, I guess.
Oh, well, yeah.
But then again, I don't. Final Fantasy VI was like full of, missables like that. Especially in like the world of Ruin, and yeah, I don't know. Go, big fan. Adlai Stevenson,
Love it.
The best.
I remember living in the Dollar House and hearing that and having to find out who does Adlai Stevenson, looking up all this stuff about him, and then reading that theory where it shows like all these weird lines that Adlai Stevenson had said in speeches that do seem very weirdly related to Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah. I think I think that a lot of those were made up.
No.
You mean he didn't say the one about little workers rolling around knocking everyone off bridges? Oh, God. Ian, how about you?
Well, I have gone to, for my number 4, I have gone to Mugman from Cuphead.
All right.
Okay.
I love
Nice.
Mugman. He's, I haven't seen the show yet. I've kind of forgot that it was a show. Little backstory there. We switched to a different I've been sharing my Netflix account with my son, and we switched to our own account because Tanya got tired of seeing all this shit I was watching, like suggesting stuff for her. Because we were sharing a profile on his account, so we switched off to our own. And anyway, I had forgotten about Cuphead because it was no longer in my list. And, I was never, I'm not, nobody, I can't say anybody's really good at Cuphead that I know, because it's a very, obviously very hard game, which is fine. I do enjoy it. I love the aesthetic. We've talked about how wonderful the game is and everything, ad nauseum. But, Cuphead's just kind of a jerk, right? He's just this impetuous, doesn't think things through. He just rushes into it. Mugman, being A, the younger brother, and B, being the voice of reason for Cuphead all the time, plus the fact that, like, dude, although he strenuously objects to making the deal with the devil, it begs him not to do it, right? He goes ahead and helps him. He's like, well, fine, I'll help you, and then they get stuck having to work for the devil. So, I love that. I love those old cartoons anyway, and I think that the fact that Cuphead and, Mugman is the voice of reason, and Cuphead's got the devil on his shoulder, and, I just love all that little play, but he's my favorite, my number 4 character because of his personality and the fact that they thought to take the time to make that his thing, that there's a story, it's a really good story there, and it's very simple, but it's still very enjoyable. The fact that, Mugman's there saying, don't do it, man. And then he's like, oh, fuck it, I'll go with you. Fine, let's just go,
Is he the Millhouse to Cuphead's Bart Simpson?
Yes, absolutely. That is the perfect way of saying that. Yes, he is the Millhouse to Cuphead's Bart Simpson.
I wonder if Miss Chalice is going to be Lisa.
I was going to say,
really
now we need to
that.
recast Cuphead with Simpsons characters. Okay.
That's next month. The Delicious Last Course, June 30th, 2022.
Okay.
I'm excited for that. I loved Cuphead. I'm so glad that you reminded me of Cuphead.
Right.
Cuphead, man, I love that game so much.
I still love it, and it's one of those that frustrates me super easily, and I put it down, and I've never really gotten that far on it, but I do like to pick it up and play it from time to time to, exercise the old reflexes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cuphead's one of those games that it's like, it's difficult, but I love games that are difficult but fair, and I really feel like Cuphead is like
it's totally
super fair game.
Oh yeah, it is, and it's doable. You know, it's difficult but doable, and that's all that really matters. I only have myself to blame for not being, you know, better at it, just because it's not the game's fault. They really put not only a lot of thought into the story and the art and the production and all that stuff, but they really wanted to make the gameplay good.
Yeah, for sure.
I still need to play this Cuphead board game that we got Kinder for Christmas. It's just sitting on my shelf.
Yeah, I wonder what that's all about.
Yeah, because I bought it for when it came in. It said it had like 400 pieces or something, so I haven't wanted to open it. 400
pieces?
Yeah.
So it's as hard to manage as the actual video game, right?
Oh, Animal
it's not
Crossing.
Just a cardboard.
Right.
It's not just a cardboard stand up with the devil and you just roll 2 dice.
They're all snake eyes, so you lose every single time.
Right.
Her Animal Crossing Monopoly was just about as bad because that was like hundreds of pieces.
Yuck.
Wow.
Yuck. I'm sorry. Yuck.
It's like, oh, things we cannot play with Jack in the house. They stay over here.
Right.
You ready for number 3?
Yeah.
My number 3 is another combo. Because I think, their stories intertwine so well together. I can't mention one without the other. And that is Edgar and Sabin Figaro from Final Fantasy VI.
Nice.
Because Dave, you talk about the feeling of getting Go-Go was sort of like the feeling of... I remember that feeling so acutely getting Sabin. Because I remember being stuck on that first Sabin fight to where you're having to face his other protege.
Vargas?
Vargas, yes. Stuck on Vargas for so fucking long. I remember renting it, getting to Vargas, could not beat it, and I did it multiple times until I bought a copy. And that's whenever I was finally able to take my time and grind through and figure out what I was supposed to do and finally got it. And finally having Sabin after being teased with him for so long. Granted, his story I don't feel like is quite as compelling as Edgar, but just, the two brothers who are princes, their dad dies and they don't know who's going to be the successor. So then eventually you find out that Edgar, it may have been, I don't necessarily think Edgar's a bad guy. I don't think he did it because he wanted to rule. I think he did it because he knew it would make Sabin miserable to be king. So he they decided to flip a coin to see who would be king, and Edgar used a trick coin in order to become king, and Sabin got to leave and live his life however he wanted. So he became a monk in the mountains. I just love their whole story, everything about, of course, everything with Edgar, with Realm, and then how he has to, submerge the castle to save his kingdom. Sabin literally holding up houses to save that it's on fire to save people. Like everything about the Figaro brothers. Fucking love them.
Man, Sabin was on my list. Because Sabin is, I love Sabin, and Final Fantasy VI in general. It's I get it. I know I've said this a whole bunch of times, but Final Fantasy VI is my favorite Final Fantasy game outside of Chrono Trigger. Haha. It's because not only is the storytelling really good, I feel and how the stories from each character is kind of entwine with one another, that I feel makes the narrative really strong. Mm-hmm. It's also that dude, what they did because Sabin's a monk, and doing Street Fighter inputs as monk abilities is such a good idea. And it's it all of a sudden made that class or that job oh wow, this is fun. Like I've always liked monks, but like, you know, I like Yang and Final Fantasy IV, but like it's a completely different experience playing as Sabin because like, throw a Hadouken. Just do the Hadouken motion and you'll do an aura beam. And it's like, oh, okay, this is awesome.
They're
like
pretty much carried through the game.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And like Bum Rush and Fire Dance and all that. I mean, oh man, it's so nice. Yeah.
Whenever you playing as him and level up and see the very rare devise the new blitz.
Oh yeah. 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 I love that. I love what that game did for jobs. You know, it really like it stretched, you know, like it really stretched the definition of jobs. And I would totally read like if there was like a Sabin graphic novel, I would totally read that.
Oh,
like in a heartbeat.
Oh, a Sabin light novel of his time between leaving and being recruited.
Yeah, or Sabin, like a Sabin manga. I need the art real bad, but yeah, I'd read that.
Oh, it's suplex. Of course, we can't not talk about suplexing the Phantom Train.
Yeah,
I remember. I didn't even hear about it. I remember just trying it as a kid and wondered, will this work? And was blown away to see him jump over, pick it up, leap up into the sky, and then slam and suplex a train.
This enormous sprite.
God, that was such a cool battle. I loved being able to finally use that music in the tabletop game. Because I used, whenever everyone walked into the Irving Cobb, I used Booster's theme from Mario RPG. But then use the actual Phantom Train music for everything involving Irving Cobb.
That's such great music.
What about you, Dave?
Me, I would just use Phoenix Down on a Phantom Train.
Oh, fair. It's true.
My third is, and Ian, I know you mentioned this earlier. And I agree with what you said, but they are still my third, because I don't know. It's Kirby.
All right.
I love Kirby, and it's like I haven't played all the Kirby games. I haven't played the new Kirby game, but like playing the original Kirby game on Game Boy as a kid, like I don't even know how I got it. Like it was one of those where it's like someone in my class probably gave it to me or we traded or something. Not even knowing who Kirby was or anything like that. Like I remember playing that as a child and really falling in love with that game. And then you know, it was one of those games where it was like I guess it was like one of the first instances where I would see like nods to other video games inside a game, and like obscure ones where it's like, is that Lolo and Lala from The Adventures of Lolo, the game that I would rent when I was even younger than I am now? And then years later, like affirming, yeah, it sure was. Hal worked on that game as well, and they just took those characters and put them in this Kirby game. And it's like, I don't know, it's stuff like that just kind of like, that sticks with me. And then it's like, not only that, but obviously, I know we've talked about this on the show before, but like in college, playing Smash Brothers, Kirby was always my go-to, and selecting Kirby rapidly to make the announcer go Kirby is second only to orgasming and sneezing. It feels great.
I remember what little I've played the Super Smash Brothers on Switch. It was Kirby for me all the way too.
Kirby's great, and I love Kirby's design. I love characters that are I love cute characters. And Kirby is the cutest. And it's like I love cute characters that are surprise badasses, you know, like I love that. You know, it's like I love Mog, and Mog is that way. Mog's a really cute character, but like, I mean, let's face it, he's not the most powerful character in the game, but I mean, still, he's pretty powerful, considering. I like characters like that a lot. characters with I guess hidden potential, you know, that kind of stuff. Hidden depths.
Ian, what about you?
Ian, what do you? Yeah, what's your third?
My number 3 is a combo as well that I feel can't go, and it doesn't require a whole lot of explanation, but I feel like the two can't be one. You can't have one without the other, and that is Scorpion and Sub-Zero from the Mortal Kombat series.
Hell yes.
I mean,
yeah, Scorpion was on my list, man.
Is he? I mean, look,
he was.
It obviously Mortal Kombat was huge for me, especially Mortal Kombat 2. I really got into the series the most in Mortal Kombat 2, and I mentioned that me and a buddy would go up to the arcade up the street from where we lived in Lexington and play Mortal Kombat, you know, just shove quarters in, and but it, you know, and as you know, there was a fairly limited roster of characters in the first Mortal Kombat game. And so Scorpion was always kind of my go-to. He's got that great get over here move, the distance attack. He's so versatile and so relatively easy to control. You know what I mean? Like his control set always just sort of resonated with me the most. And I know that doesn't make me unique by any stretch of the imagination, because I know he's a wildly popular character. But then, you know, when you got into Mortal Kombat 2 and you had this way like double the size of the amount of characters you could play, I tried them all and I always came back to Scorpion because it's just, for whatever reason, his moveset and I was just always in sync with him. But I also like the sort of the backstory of him and Sub-Zero being rivals, and, you know, he murdered him and Sub-Zero murdered Scorpion, and it's just the whole thing just goes on and on. But at the end of the day, their dynamic to me was really important, especially in sort of when Mortal Kombat started to become a little bit more story driven, and they kind of, and plus in the movies and stuff, you know, I never saw the most recent one. And I'm hearing that's probably a good thing, but, I always likened it to, and I have to think that this is where it kind of came from. And I've mentioned this on the show before, the relationship between the characters from the G.I. Joe series, Snake Eyes and, Storm Shadow. Snake Eyes being the G.I. Joe ninja guy and Storm Shadow being the Cobra ninja guy. And it turns out, especially like in the comics and stuff, they had a really deep relationship, and there was this big thing in their past that connected them. And I think, you know, because I was way into that when I was a kid, and then when Mortal Kombat came out, these ninjas that were very similar, and it turns out they're, you know, related to one another in one way, or, you know, they have history, and they got beef, you know, and I kind of like that a lot. So that's my number 3.
I love it. And like them, like having that backstory, like I remember as a kid, like I'll never forget, like the first time I saw Scorpion pull off his mask, reveal a skull, and breathe fire.
Yes.
Like that was like, what the fuck just happened? Like that was, and then, you know, and then like you learn, like there's lore where it's like, oh, well, he's from hell. And it's like, what? Why was he from hell? Oh, because Sub-Zero killed him. Wait, what? Like, why did Sub-Zero kill him? Oh, because he killed Sub-Zero. Wait, oh, what? Yeah, because isn't that how it worked? Like Sub-Zero in Mortal Kombat is like the original Sub-Zero's brother or something?
Yeah,
like
it's something like that. It's been a while. I'd have to revisit that to be sure, you know, to get it right. But yeah.
But like that shit just like, oh my God. Like I was so like into that lore because it was just so mysterious at the time and ridiculous, of course, in hindsight. But man, that was so much fun. And like, Scorpion, like I feel like when I realized that they had that relationship, Scorpion and Sub-Zero, like all of a sudden I didn't care that they were palette swaps because it's like, oh yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
They're like rival ninja clans. They wear different colors. Yeah, it totally makes sense.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, right.
It was always so cool that I also really, really loved Sub-Zero a lot because he had this. Of course, there's fire and ice. It's the complete opposite things. And, the creativity that went into Sub-Zero's moveset. I really liked his fatalities the most, where he'd freeze him and then break him in half or, something. Just to me, that was the point at which I started to see, like, real. I shouldn't say to see it, but to recognize the level of creativity that goes into something like that, and I think they really hit the nail on the head with those two characters not just because they're related, but because they both have these really powerful, badass movesets that in the right hands are unbeatable.
I'm glad that Mortal Kombat kind of went the way that it did instead of the original idea. Of the Jean-Claude Van Damme video game.
Oh, Lord.
I feel like
what?
Yeah. That's originally what it was going to be, and then like that fell through, so they were like, "Let's make Mortal Kombat."
Right.
And then so Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat is a like homage to Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah.
We go to number 2
because like,
sorry,
yes, please. No, I was just gonna say, like, could you like Mortal Kombat would have just like that would have just been a game.
It would have died.
Like,
yeah,
like it would have
kind of
died,
like Pit Fighter,
right? And it's stuff like that where it's like, can you like what? How different would the world be? Because like if that would have happened, Mortal Kombat wouldn't have been the big thing that it was. And then it's like, so what happens with the ESRB?
Right.
Right.
Like,
I mean,
I think it would have come eventually. Yeah, I think it would have come eventually, but not at that moment. But yeah, I think you're right. I think a lot would have changed.
It's just fun to think about stuff like that.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, sorry, Tyler. Yes,
No.
Number 2s.
Number 2 is probably my most modern entry. With number 2, I have John Marsden from Red Dead Redemption.
Oh, nice! I like that. I like that
because I have not played. I have Red Dead Redemption 2. I haven't played it yet, so I can't speak to that team. But God, the story of John Marsden and everything that you do over the course of Red Dead Redemption is so fucking good.
It truly is.
And everything from the, like his, depending on how you play him, of course, but still his redemption and how he acts and his skills and the backstory and everything about John Marsden and his story and the fucking heartbreaking ending that I tried multiple times to see if I could, if I could change the end, make it different, but I absolutely love Red Dead Redemption, and John Marsden is number 2 for a reason, because God, that story is so good. And you feel like by the end of it, you feel like you fully understand John Marsden and what he went through and where he is and what he's trying to be.
Yeah.
Everything about how Rockstar did that was just fantastic. So strong number 2 for me with John Marsden.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. They really did a good job of telling his story. And even though like some of the side quests and stuff get repetitive, I enjoy doing all that. But like, you can skip all of this. Right? Yeah, I could like shoot hawks. But yeah, I think that's awesome. I love that he's included.
That was always kind
of Red Dead Redemption 2.
That was always kind of my thing in Red Dead Redemption 2. It's like because it's so massive. And I would find myself like, oh shit, I've been hunting for 3 hours. I forgot what I'm supposed to be doing to move the story forward, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is sometimes what you want, you know, like sometimes I crave that. Like, I know I mentioned this on the show a lot, and it's like when I realized that I was going to have to be quarantined for 5 days, the first thing that popped in my mind was I should probably get back into Final Fantasy 14.
Yep.
And just like lose myself for 5 days. And then I was like, nah, better not. Better not do that.
So you have to crawl back out of that hole.
Yeah, that's right. Or feel bad, like, and be like, well, I spent $15 and all I did was play this game for 5 days straight.
Hey, only spending $15 over the course of 5 days is pretty good. It's pretty good. I consider that a win.
It is, but it's weird for me with Final Fantasy 14 because it's always, it doesn't matter how much time I play. I either feel like I didn't play enough to justify the $15 or I played too much to justify, being an adult. So it's like this. It's like if there's a line there, it's hard to tell. Much like my COVID test.
Yeah. What's your number 2, Dave?
My number 2 is Frog from Chrono Trigger.
Nice.
This was a toss-up between Frog and Magus. I go back and forth. Thematically, I like Magus better. I like what Magus. I like how he acts. He's this dark, mysterious character. He like decides that he's going to stop the apocalypse himself, and then he's like thwarted by the heroes of the game. And I like that angle a lot, and I like I love Magus, and I could almost do this as like a Frog and Magus maybe, because like their stories are very entwined.
No, I totally agree. No, I think you could have done that as a combo. Absolutely.
Because like you really can't have one without the other. You definitely can't have Frog without Magus, because Frog is a squire whose master is defeated by Magus and then humiliated by being cursed by being turned into a frog human by Magus. And I love Frog's arc. I think his arc is great. I do think he's a little victim-y, but like rightfully so. I mean, like he really gets like beat the fuck up at the beginning of his arc, and then he gets a little like. I mean, this is like one of the first characters that I remember. This is gonna sound really silly because he's a frog, but like. Really deals with depression in a 1990s like Super Nintendo game. Like, I mean, really does. Like, really, like, he's done. Like, he's in his frog hole. He doesn't give a shit about the Masamune. Yep. He's done. And
Cyrus is dead, and I wasn't as good as Cyrus. Why should I even be here? Yeah.
Yep. And it's like, and then, his story of like coming through that and then going on to, save time, I guess. Yeah, I love Frog, and I love the story of Magus and Frog, and I love that's honestly like as much as I love Chrono Trigger, I don't feel like I love that. I definitely don't love that game nearly as much as I do without those two characters. Like they are like truly. Those two characters like the heart and soul of that game for me.
I agree with you. As much as I love Robo, there's not as much with Robo as, Frog and Magus. So yeah, I'm with you 100%. But I mean, Frog is still considered a hero in the kingdom. How cruel is it that no one calls him Glenn and everyone just calls him Frog.
Frog, I know. Yeah, that's why it's like one of my like when I do, playthroughs and stuff, I'll name him Glenn, you know.
I name him Glenn and name Frog Janice. So, yeah.
Or Magus Janice.
Yeah. And I name Robo R66-Y. So.
And then Nadia for
Nadia. Yep, you're right.
Yeah. Yep. Oh man, every time I talk about Chrono Trigger, I want to go play it. And what'll happen is I'll get to the end of the prison segment, and then it'll be like, I'm tired, I need to go to bed.
Yep. The speed runs that I've been watching people do on Games Done Quick, because they're kind of expanding that into a lot of subsections. So they'll have like one where people who used to speedrun it a lot ask them to come back and play it rusty and just see how they do.
Oh, okay.
Or I think that's called
fun.
Yeah, or Mercy. I think maybe it's called Mercy Kill, because like they'll try to get to where they were, and if they're too far off, they just end the run. They Mercy Kill it because they're just so rusty. But I've watched 2 Chrono Trigger ones, and they're really, really good. Seeing what all people do, the character choices, and how they fight the bosses, and it's good to sit down in my office on like a Monday when I'm doing all my reports, and I can have a 4-hour long speed run of Chrono Trigger done in the background.
Yeah, that does sound nice.
Ian, what about you? What's your number 2?
My number 2 might surprise you only because of who I picked for number 1, given my list. I would ask that would you kindly allow me to introduce my number 2 as Andrew Ryan from the BioShock series.
Okay. I was curious when BioShock was going to come up.
I mean, I talked about BioShock on the show like one of the first few times I was on, like years ago, a couple of years ago, and how much those games just mean to me. And that first run through that game just blew my mind. It was like, I cannot believe how I didn't see any of this coming. It was a complete surprise to me. It was just, in general, a obviously wonderful and fascinating world that they were built. But one of the things that I found myself doing in that game, which I would normally not do, is listening intently to the recordings that you find of Andrew Ryan and his sort of manifesto, and the way they wrote that and how brilliant it is. And, no, says the man in Moscow, it belongs to everyone. I reject those answers. Instead, I choose something different. I choose the impossible. It's just things like that just really got to me. And, the game, those games in and of themselves are just perfection, in my opinion. They're wonderful games that are going to be just in my top 5 for as a trilogy, as a whole. All 3 of those games as one are in my top 5, and I just love the twist with Andrew Ryan and all the stuff that they just give you to listen to that they just went to this extreme to be immersive, for this game to be immersive, and for you to want to pay attention to the story and to the history and to the things that have happened up to this point. And I think Andrew Ryan just embodies that whole feeling of it's disappointing that Rapture didn't work, right? It's disappointing because you hear what he has to say, and even though he's obviously kind of a madman, the idea was there, and it started off okay, and then you just it lends a sort of this depressing sort of disappointment that you feel knowing that this guy had this vision and this dream, and he built this thing, and then it all went to shit. they just do such a good job with that character of bringing you into the story and making you a part of it. That is why I've got him on my list as number 2.
Oh, hard agree with all that.
Mm-hmm.
And I love because I recently, I played through Infinite again, which, man, hits different and harder in our current times. But I was playing the DLC, and the DLC takes place back in BioShock, only you're in a reality to where Andrew Ryan never let Fontaine get started. Just fucking killed him outright. You're doing what now? Nope, fuck you. Kills him outright, and how you're playing through Booker and Elizabeth in their different iterations in a whole beautiful, still functioning Rapture.
Yes.
Huh.
Which, again, by the time they got to Infinite, I thought, okay, when they were talking about Columbia, and it's Columbia, right?
Yes.
And it's in the sky. It's like, oh, okay, they're, at first, when I heard about what the game was going to be, I was like, oh God, they can't do anything else underwater, so now they're going up into the sky, and it's a cash grab. Turns out that was way off. It's like even to take that idea and completely, literally flip it upside down and do the things that they're doing and add that whole new mechanic of like the zip lines and all that stuff. Yeah. It was, I would say almost as surprisingly good to me as the initial BioShock, because I really didn't think they could do it again. And I was proven very wrong by that. So yeah, big ups to Andrew Ryan and BioShock and the whole series. Just like I told you, I downloaded it for the Switch. I haven't started it back up yet, but it's on my list.
I was so glad I replayed through all of it. So glad. Well, do you want to go through some honorable mentions before we hit number 1?
Yeah, I like that idea. I have a bunch of honorable mentions.
I do too, because as I've been thinking, I've been adding.
Oh, okay, awesome. I've only added one since we've been recording. So here's what I have for honorable mentions. Ryu from Street Fighter.
Yep, me too.
Nice.
Love Ryu. Anytime he's like the baseline. He's like the baseline for like fighting game characters.
And his story's actually good for a fighting game character. Yeah. Everything around him and Ken and Akuma and Shenlong and all that. Yep.
I like the drama there. I also like, he's like very monk-like and like, just striving for perfection kind of deal. And I think that's, very interesting. I like the bearded Ryu that we got there, the older Ryu. I thought that was cool. The Ryu Kenobi. Scorpion was on my list of honorable mentions, which I know Ian, I'm so glad that he wound up on Ian's list proper. I have Mega Man on there as well.
Good one.
Just because, I love Mega Man. Magnet Man for character design might also be on the honorable mentions. Deckard Cain. I've got Deckard Cain on there.
Oh, that's a good one.
I'm always like, whenever I'm playing a Diablo game, like I love it when he shows up. And I love that he was like, that he played as big a role as he did in 3. Just hearing that voice is like, I don't know. It's like nostalgia juice. Earthworm Jim. I've got Earthworm Jim on the list. Unfortunately, the creator of Earthworm Jim is kind of like a flaming pile of garbage, but I still like the character. I've got the dog from Fable 2 as an honorable mention, which really almost got on the real list. That was a really, really close contender for number 5. I'm a Tom Nook apologist, so I've got Tom Nook on there. I get it. Like, you got to pay him for loans and shit, but his loans are very reasonable. He's like,
zero interest.
Pay me back, 0 interest, pay me back anytime you want. Hey, when's my next payment due, Tom? Never, as far as I fucking care.
I don't need to hear your capitalist apologizing.
I think Tom Nook is doing some real good out there. He's just giving his money out, essentially treating everybody as his friend, where it's like, just pay me back when you got it. I've got Clementine from The Walking Dead on there. I think that like that is still one of the games that I remember like crying while playing. That was that first arc I thought was really, really good. I know Ian mentioned Overwatch earlier. I've got Diva on an honorable mention as an honorable mention. I love her character design, and I love how meta it is, where it's like she is talking about video games while being a character in a video game. I love that. I love the fact that she's a tank class while being a girl. I think that's cool. And I think that like the fact that she is bringing a mech to a team-based like shooter, I think that's also really, really cool. I've got Scarecrow from Batman Arkham Asylum.
Good. That's a good one.
Oh man, those segments in Arkham Asylum are so good. And very memorable. I've got Toad from Super Mario series.
Of
I love Toad.
Of course, that's going to be on yours.
Love Toad. I've got Tifa Lockhart from Final Fantasy VII. I love me some monks in Final Fantasy games, typically. Tifa, especially, it took the remaster. Like, I always liked Tifa, but like in the remaster, especially, it's like, man, Tifa is so much fun to play. That anytime she's like Poochie. Anytime I was playing Final Fantasy VII Remake and Tifa wasn't on screen, I was like, "Where's Tifa?"
Yeah.
And then Dionysus from Hades.
Oh fuck!
And
yes.
And then Three Dog from Fallout 3.
Three Dog's a good one.
Love Three Dog. Oh my gosh. Like the number of times that, I don't know, he's the best. And like, I honestly think as cool as it was meeting Three Dog in the game, I almost kind of wish that you didn't. And he was always just kind of like this disembodied companion, you know?
Oh, I can certainly agree with you on that. Let's see, my honorable mentions. My first one, who was number 5 until I thought about Kane. My number 5 was General Leo.
Yeah, nice.
Then, of course, I've got Magus and Frog, honorable mentions. Cyan Garamond from Final Fantasy VI. I love Cyan's story, and playing back through as a married father.
I know, dude.
Cyan's story will rip your heart out.
I know, dude. It's weird, man. That's like that. And I was thinking about with Final Fantasy VII too. Like the older I get, the more I like Barrett.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, and it works the same way for me too with Cyan. I totally agree with that.
Let's see. Of course, I had Ryu as well. Elizabeth and Booker DeWitt from Infinite. Let's see, Xander Cohen from BioShock, because I loved all his fucked up art project and what you could do, and his appearances in 2, and how he's in Infinite in the DLC where Rapture's whole. He has his whole posters everywhere about all his albums and what he's doing and pushing the boundaries. I've got Jeff Andonuts from Earthbound.
Nuts.
Earthbound is probably my favorite game of all time, but all the characters, Earthbound is more about the entire journey and the story as opposed to any one character's story, because they are sort of kids that get a calling that come together, and they each have their own individual traits and a little bit of the story. So I didn't really pick any of them, but I wanted to
I have a
somebody
new
from
honorable
Earthbound.
mention.
Yeah.
I have a new honorable mention, and that is Dungeon Man.
Yeah. I thought about putting him on there too.
I love Dungeon Man. Like there are some things like in Earthbound. Like it's been since we've done an episode in Earthbound that I've really like thought about it, but like Dungeon Man always sticks out.
God, it's so good. And I enjoyed being able to play Dungeon Man's really weird ass music in the tabletop whenever you guys went to Apple Valley. So that
Nice,
was the perfect time for that. I have Handsome Jack from Borderlands. Handsome Jack comes across as sort of a pompous, annoying boss until you start finding out more about what happened to him and how, like the rarest thing in the universe is a siren. So, you can always play a siren as a playable character on the Borderlands, but having a human with those kind of abilities is incredibly rare. And Handsome Jack's daughter was a siren. So it's heartbreaking seeing him basically as just a wage slave who suddenly his daughter is the commodity every one of these mega corporations wants, and how everything revolving her and the path that takes twists him into being the CEO and warped villain of one of the mega corporations over time. So I love Handsome Jack. I got the narrator from Bastion.
It's a good one.
The way the narrator just tells the story and breaks everything down and the jokes, and I love Bastion. Zero from Mega Man X. I love Zero, and I've never played anything beyond 3, but I would like to check out 4, 5, and 6. I've watched the completionists do some videos and break those down. I've watched some speed runs. I'd really like to. I want to play more of Zero and how he plays completely differently from X, because X, keeps his whole thing throughout the series where he's the range fighter, shoots, gets the weapon. Zero, for the most part, just has his saber. And after he beats a Maverick, he has a new saber style that he can use, and you input those sort of like the fighting moves to pull off different saber mechanics with Zero, at least in 4. So I think
I've been thinking about Zero a lot recently, mainly because like I've been like, man, I gotta get Henry into Mega Man X, because like I would love to see him cosplay as Zero with this long hair.
Oh shit! Yes, that's good.
I know.
Let's see. I've got Golbez from Final Fantasy IV. Because he's, of course, the dark, shadowy antagonist. Love Golbez. Love that twist at the end. I've got Shantoto from Final Fantasy XI.
Nice.
The dark, fucked up black mage.
Yep.
Let's see. Joey Atreides from Suikoden 2. So he is...
Atreides nuts! That's 2.
So in Final Fantasy... In Suikoden 2, the main hero and his best friend find a true rune that's been split into 2 pieces, and they each get one. And from that point on, they both have to take different paths in life, and Joey, sort of becomes an antagonist type, and his journey because of the Black Sword rune is really, really good. So Joey's absolutely an honorable mention. Matthew Silverberg, he's your tactician from the original Suikoden. Jacob and I loved Matthew. We include Matthew like in a lot of our D&D games as some sort of a mentor type figure. Going on that further, Flick and Victor. I love Flick and Victor. I think are always. I originally just had Flick, but it's like they work together. You need to have Flick and Victor. I think Flick has the deeper story. It's never explained to you, but you just have to get subtle hints on it about how, he loved Odessa. He had his sword name, so he used to come from the warriors village, and like everything you piece together about Flick over time is really good. That Tali Zora Vos Normandy from the Mass Effect series.
Man, I almost put Tali on my honorable mentions.
Best girl Tali Zora.
Yeah.
Then I've got GLaDOS from Portal 1 and 2.
Oh, that's a good one, yeah.
Such a good antagonist. General Lemon from Shining Force 2. He kind of fits the same profile as General Leo, but instead of dying, he becomes, a cursed vampire that he uses the curse for him in the end. Hi-Yo from Suikoden, just because Hi-Yo is who you use in the cooking game. The cooking game of Suikoden 2 is so much fucking fun. Then I've got Clementine from The Walking Dead. Bigby Wolf from A Wolf Among Us.
Oh, nice. That's a good one.
And then last, Wirt's Leg from Diablo 2.
I almost put Wirt in there, yeah.
Ian, you got some honorable mentions?
I have a few. My list is nowhere near as extensive as y'all's, but I did have Kirby on my list as an honorable mention, and for a lot of the same reasons as Dave. I've really come to appreciate Kirby a lot since I started playing the Forgotten Lands game recently. So he's in there. Chun-Li, I always loved Chun-Li from Street Fighter because A, she's really powerful, but B, super sexy, and that kind of got me thinking a lot about, sexy Japanese art back in the day.
It's called hentai, and it's art.
Right.
It's art. It got me really good at pausing.
Yes, exactly.
Counting frames. I really do think that they're like, well, to be good at fighting games, you're going to want to count frames, and we're going to give you an incentive on how to do that.
And what an incentive it was. Poseidon from Hades.
Yes.
Love that guy. Just can't get enough, nephew, also, just because I was in Hades, I was like super prone to like leveling up his power ups, the stuff that he gives you.
Fuck yes,
because it's so powerful. And when you start stacking his boons, it's like ridiculous how much damage you can do and how quickly you could just like decimate a room full of enemies. So really liked him. I got to go old school and put Luigi on this list. I've always liked Luigi. I've always loved those Luigi's Mansion games. Those are some of my favorite games from like the Mario world. That dynamic of, vacuuming up the ghosts. It just gives you that kind of Ghostbusters feel that you never got from a Ghostbusters game. But yeah,
that image of Luigi with those the statue of Luigi looking scared and those two girls is honestly like one of my favorite memes from like recent history.
It's so good.
I love it.
Because I think that's how he would be in the presence of those girls. Yeah. That's like so accurate. It's canon. It's like
a Smithers in the strip club energy.
Exactly. But you just can't go wrong with Luigi. And plus, I always liked him in the Mario games when you could play as Luigi because he could jump higher. Just really liked that about him. Sorry.
I've shared gifs.
Yeah, I've got the Smithers gif popping up in front of me, and it's killing me. Holy shit. Okay. And my last honorable mention is Lara Croft from the new Tomb Raider games, the newish Tomb Raider games. I really enjoyed those games, and they put a lot of depth into that character and to the backstory and the history, and made those more than just adventure games. It was very detailed, again, kind of like the BioShock thing, where you really kind of get sucked into the story, and I think that character really drives that home. So That's my fifth and final honorable mention. It's Lara Croft.
I need to play those. I haven't played any of the new ones, and I've heard they're really, really good.
Yeah, they are. I played through all of them, and was very satisfied. Did you play that? What was that new Star Wars, the newer-ish Star Wars game, Jedi Order, or what was it?
Is it Jedi? Is it Outcast?
Is it Outcast?
I don't know.
God Almighty! No, I can't.
But no, I haven't played it.
Well, I bought it, but I can't remember what it's called.
Fallen Order.
Fallen Order.
Fallen Order. That's it. It's Fallen Order is very similar to those Tomb Raider games. It has a very similar mechanic, just like, with lightsabers and shit. But yeah, they're really good. I highly recommend them. Right now, you could probably get all those newer Tomb Raider games dirt cheap somewhere. I do recommend them if you're into that kind of thing.
I am. I think I'd really enjoy them. It's just, and I think I even own maybe the first one. I remember it like going on really deep discount at some point. Yeah. I might own more than one, but it's just been one of those where it's like, I never think of it. You know what I mean? Like, sure. When I have like 5 days of quarantine, Tomb Raider just never isn't at the top of my mind.
Well, I can add one more on the same vein as Drake from Uncharted. I played.
I thought about Drake. Yeah.
Those games
didn't come
great.
Up, honestly.
Those games are great too. And I had a PlayStation for about 5 minutes, but I did play through a few of the Uncharted games, and I really liked them. So, but it's kind of for the same reason, because I do like that sort of archaeology, adventure, Indiana Jones type thing. And both of those games are right in that wheelhouse for me. So definitely Drake is going to be on my list too.
I figured you would have said Tails. I was waiting for you to say Tails from Sonic.
Well, yeah. That's a good one. See, I didn't spend that much time working out my honorable mentions because I've only been doing it since we've been talking tonight. And I've been listening to you guys, so I'll get distracted and be like, oh, fuck, I was trying to think of something. But yeah.
Well, with Mugman, Luigi, and I was waiting for Tails, I was like, Ian likes the quiet-centered partners.
Yes. That's good. That's good. Yeah.
We want to go on to number one now?
Sure.
Number one. My number one.
Let's do it.
My number one favorite video game character of all time would have to be Alucard from the Castlevania series.
Okay.
Really?
So
okay, I like this.
There's just... Well, because one, that saga is
his
complete.
Name is Dracula backwards.
Because that story is, because going from Castlevania 3 to the one for DS that takes place in the future, that story is told. So you get to see, reading up on it, seeing what I have from the video games, everything about Alucard's story is so fucking good. And getting, I think Symphony of the Night is still the best Castlevania game, hands down. So, and I guess I have to be, even though it's not a video game, I'm still a little biased from the Netflix series, because I think Alucard is so fucking good in that series. I think they did an amazing job capturing him there. Mm-hmm. So, if I'm just looking at the full, complete story of a video game character, yeah, it's Alucard. It's gray, it's high, it's low, it's everything. It's beautiful. I love Alucard.
I'm surprised I didn't have Richter and Alucard as honorable mentions. And especially because I was even thinking about including Alucard on my top 5. But yeah, I love Symphony of the Night, and I've tried to play I played Aria Sorrow and I liked it okay, but what happened was I was playing it and I was like, man, I want to play Symphony of the Night. This is fun. I like this, but I have Symphony of the Night just right over there in the other room. I could just do that.
See, because I love it. You don't get the reveal until later, because Alucard is in those, in the Dawn of Sorrow and all those handheld ones. So it's just, it's so cool. Well done, and I love everything about it. What about you, Dave?
My number one video game character of all time at the time of this recording is and this is 100% wish fulfillment. Okay, this is like 100% this is fantasy. This is like, when I play this game and I play as this character, this is who I want to be, and it is complete fantasy, and that is a horrible goose. My favorite video game character of all time is a horrible goose. And that's not a joke. It just happens to be funny. I love this character so much. I remember being terrified of geese as a child, and then I remember being chased by a horrible goose as a child, and then being able to harness that terror and spin it around and spit it out in the form of this, and it kind of goes back to Kirby. The horrible goose is incredibly, it's charming, but also a very covert badass. I loved Untitled Goose Game so much, and the goose is just so much fun to play as, and it gives me the same, playing that game gives me the same feeling that I get playing a Grand Theft Auto game, but in a very but in a wholesome key,
right?
As opposed to you know what I mean? Yeah. It's just because it's you're just being a bad bird, but it's okay because everything in this world is ideal. Your crimes are just so minor that it's adorable. I love this game, and I love the goose so much.
Excellent.
No, I think that's
Ian. How about you?
The most perfect choice.
Thank you.
Well, mine's probably going to seem awfully strange if we're talking about my favorite character of all time ever in a video game, but I kind of see it as well as something that impacted me unexpectedly in recent memory, something that I still think about this character because it became such a surprise for me on this game. My all-time favorite, as of right now, character that had the most kind of impact on me is Sayori from Doki Doki Literature Club.
Oh, okay. All right.
How she just starts out, and I this would probably be spoilers, spoiler territory, I reckon. Did you guys spoil Doki Doki hardcore on the episode we did? Or you did?
We did. Okay. But that was a while back, so there's a good chance that somebody listening to this may not have listened to that.
So yeah, jump forward 2 or 3 minutes. I probably won't talk about it for 2 or 3 minutes, but just the fact that she is, sort of clumsy, sort of bubbly, she's the best buddy, and she's the kind of gotten friend zoned by you, and you can tell right off the bat she's got this massive crush on you, and she's now in competition with these other girls who she brought you into this club to begin with, and the fact that she just sort of spirals down into this unbelievably horrible depression, and it that really got me. It really got to me. I have never felt emotionally sort of, I don't know how to put it. It just, I don't know that I can't remember having a legitimately emotional reaction to something happening in a video game, until this, because it's easy to get sort of sucked into the story. And at first, again, it's just sort of this dippy little the poetry thing and whatnot, but it gets so deep so fast. And the way that game fucks with your mind and the way that pretends to fuck with your computer and, you know, all that stuff. But that character to me is I feel that they went above and beyond to put a voice to what it is like to be truly and completely depressed, and how absolutely awful severe depression can be. And without getting preachy, they're saying to me, get help if you need it, right? It's just, and I think they just did such a great job of pushing that out in the form of Sayori that's why I put her at the top of my list, simply because it was just that powerful to me. So there you have it.
Ian, I really I want to give you the audiobooks for the Stormlight Archive, because hearing you say that makes me be like, oh man, Ian has to read the Stormlight Archive and read about Kaladin, one of the main characters who Brandon Sanderson brought on, like, psychologists and psychiatrists that have him be able to properly portray a soldier with depression and PTSD.
Okay.
It's and what he does on that journey and to try to, you know, when he's in the bottom of it, how he has to get out of it, and what he does to try to help other people with it. Like, you saying that alone makes me think, like, man, Ian has got to read these books, because I think you absolutely love them.
And I don't pretend to understand depression, you know, because I don't feel that I suffer from it, and I definitely can't understand it the way that, you know, but I also know how horrible it can be for people. I've known a lot of people who do suffer from deep depression, and, you know, you see all these things on TV or on whatever, if you need help, call this number type of thing. And I think it's just because that's such a wide problem for so many people, that when a video game maker, an author, somebody has the ability to inject a message into something that is also entertaining, and they take the opportunity to do that, I just really have a lot of respect for that. So I thought that character, Sayori's character, was just really, really well thought out and really well written. So, yeah.
No, I'm with you 100%. I feel like that was some good shit. I enjoyed this discussion very much.
Me too.
Yeah, I like how this turned out. This was a lot of fun.
So we'll do it again next week, which is with NES games, baby.
Maybe. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. I'm down to talk about NES games. I kind of threw that out as an option because I felt like NES games might be like the best common ground for the three of us. Mm-hmm. But if you guys, if you two have any other ideas between now and when we need to record, I'm definitely open.
Okay. Well, and to clarify for our audience, we are going to play it safe one more week and make sure we're recording remotely next time, because we want to make sure everybody's safe and healthy, and we all want to make sure, on that same note, that all of you are still remaining safe and healthy out there. Be careful, because COVID has not gone away. Take care of yourself.
Yeah, not at all. That's a pretty good time there. We want to call it there.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's an episode.
Cool.
Well, thanks for listening, everybody. You can find the show on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube. I still always want to say SoundCloud. Always want to say SoundCloud. I have to tell myself to stop.
I always expect to hear it.
I do too. I was going to say, I always expect to hear it.
I'm re-upping it right now. It's fine. we just need to hear it.
I'll just start saying not SoundCloud. That way I can still say it.
Not okay. Perfect. Then we don't have to pay for it. Great.
If you want to call us, you can call us at 270-883-2555. You want to send us something when we're back together. If we have a package, we may be able to do that. That'll be TADPOG Studios, care of Nicole Nance, P.O. Box 3785, Paducah, Kentucky, 42002. Ian, do you have any executive producers for us?
I do. We have a list of very, very generous people who donate $20 or more per month, and it is something I look forward to every week, is reading this list of people, and I'm going to do that right now, starting with, let's see, Usurper Grimm, Cousin David Galino, Temporal Eternal Savior, Cubicle Monkey, Plinko Nick Price, Executive Producer Dig Dougie, Enthusiast Jeff Miners, Clambro Cody Phillips, Bantha Master, Gamebug Prime Nathan Eaton, Matt Gentile, aka Gentle G, congratulations on your marriage, Magical Sleeper, aka Big Dick Pie Baker Chris Vaughn, Princess Banana Hammock Flavatrick Taryn Landon, Pinball Archmage Chris Edler, I'm sorry you couldn't be on this episode, Platinum member Brett Miller, Sandwich Pope Phil Hawkins, Nate from Utah, first time caller, Drinksmith Joey Webster, Master Cycle Baron Kevin Link, Barbecue Baron Andrew Rowland, General Kenobi Massacre, and last but not least, Sick Jake, we're sorry you fell for the marketing.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
I don't think we have anything new on the Patreon side of things. So our theme song is moved by Sycamore Drive into that track on the show notes at tadpog.com. How you guys want to close it out?
I mean, I guess is your favorite video game character of all time.
All right.
Perfect.
So until next time, Tropical Capricorn. Mankind ill needs a savior such as you.
Obey your thirst. Drink Sprite.
And now, a dramatic reading. A duck walked up to a corner store, and he said to the woman running the store, "Hey, got any grapes?" The woman said, "No, it's a corner store. I mean, grapes aren't really what we're known for." "We've got some grape drinks," the duck said. "They kinda stink." Then he waddled away till the very next day. When the duck walked to the corner store and he said to the woman running that store, "Hey, got any grapes?" The woman said, "Oh, it's you again, duck. I've already told you you're out of we're out of luck. We've got some grape gum." The duck said, "I'll take none." And then this goes on for a very, very, very long time. So I'll stop there.
Excellent. Thank you.